Thanks for joining us for Understanding Real Estate with Realtor Becky Cobb of West Cobb Alliance, part of the ReeceNichols Real Estate Group in Neosho.
So, Becky, thinking about setting a price for my home, how much wiggle room do I want to leave in setting that price?
This is a question that we get asked a lot, Luke, is, well, you've done a market analysis, and I can see by everything that you presented to me that, let's say, $250,000 is a reasonable price to ask for my property. So therefore, I want to list it for $280,000. So now you're $30,000 over what seems to be fair market value. That is way, way too much wiggle room, because that buyer that could afford your house at $250,000 is not even going to look at $280,000. It's unlikely that they would look at $260,000. You really, to get the most activity on your property, you need to list it within fair market value, and you and your realtor can determine that by looking at other properties that have sold in the area and then make a good, fair determination. People always say, well, if they come in low, I want to have some wiggle room to come down. I promise you, if you price it fairly, you probably won't have to come down. You will have lots of activity and possibly more than one offer, and that could actually drive the price up.
So, Becky, thinking about staging my home for a sale, how much do I want to depersonalize it before I put it out there?
It's a good idea. You don't have to take all of the personal things out of your home, but if you have a wall of fame with the pictures of your family for the last 50 years, you know what? You may want to tone that down. One thing I have seen as a realtor is if people come into your house and they see those pictures, they get drawn into those and they forget to look at the house. And sometimes they're standing there and going, oh, I went to high school with her. Oh, look at those kids. I remember when they played ball. And all of a sudden we're talking about you and your family, and we're not focused on the house. So getting rid of some of those things that make it a little more personal to you is probably a good idea when you get ready to sell your house. And then decluttering, that's important too. I'm a clutter bug. I like to have too much stuff out. My husband can tell you that. But the less is more is really important when you have your house listed and you want to attract buyers.
Well, for this morning, Becky, if I get an offer on my home that I don't like, what do I do with it?
You can wad it up and throw it away. Or maybe what you should do is look at the offer with your realtor and make a decision on what are the good points of this offer and what are the bad points of this offer, and then be willing to negotiate. I always advise my sellers to at least respond in some way. Sometimes people say, I don't even want to respond to that. Well, that's probably not the best way. Someone has taken the time to consider your property for purchase, put together an offer, they've gotten pre-qualified. Let's at least look at the merits of the offer, and then we can counter to them at something that does work for you and is acceptable to you. Sometimes buyers just feel like they have to throw out a really low offer to you just to see how low you'll go. And I don't advise buyers to do that, by the way. But if that's happened, let's again just take a look at the merits, respond in the appropriate way, and you may be able to get a deal together.
So, Becky, on the subject of a seller's preparation, should I get my home pre-inspected?
I think it's a great idea. And what we're talking about is having a home inspector come in prior to your listing being active on the multi-list service and doing an evaluation of the home just as they would do for a buyer. This gives you a great heads up on what issues a buyer's home inspector is going to find. Oftentimes you can go ahead and repair those things that may be issues. Lots of times we find out people need those GFCIs in their kitchens within 6 foot of water or in bathrooms. You can go ahead and get that taken care of. If you have a loose handrail, you can go ahead and get that taken care of. There may be some other things that are bigger issues you're not even aware of. When's the last time you got up in your attic or down in the crawl space and maybe you have ductwork that's falling? We see that a lot. You don't even know it. You can get those things fixed before another home inspector comes in. And it's going to help you hold the value of your home, and it's going to get you to a quicker sale. So it's a really good idea. Go ahead and get a home inspection.
Well, Becky, let's talk about the value of a home inspection. Let's say I'm not looking to sell anytime soon, but would it be worth it to go ahead and get my home inspected just because?
I think it's a great idea. You probably should do that maybe every 3 to 5 years. Have a home inspector come and take a good look at your home. First of all, a lot of us don't like to get down in those crawl spaces, and we don't realize that maybe we have some issues going on down there. Ductwork, again, is something that I see a lot on home inspections, that it has been maybe attacked by some rodents, or it's just falling down and it needs to be reattached. Other things that they may notice is you may have, maybe you have a newer home and you think there shouldn't be anything wrong with it, but you know what? Lots of times the construction guys didn't quite finish out everything in the attic, and maybe you've got some open junction boxes, and they could potentially be a hazard. So it's a great idea to have somebody periodically take a look, and maybe they'll identify some things where you have a problem that's starting, and we all know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Get somebody out there to take a look at it.
If you would like to know more about understanding real estate, you may contact Becky Cobb at 417-592-3245 of the West Cobb Alliance, your realtors for life. Find out more on the web at neosho.homes.